August 30th, 1997, Monaco. Dodi Fayed walked into the Repossi jewelry store. He looked at engagement rings, examined them carefully, asked questions about diamonds, carats, settings. The staff watched, intrigued. This was Mohamed Al-Fayed's son, and everyone knew he was dating Princess Diana. Was Dodi about to propose? The jeweler showed him a ring, the Tell Me Yes ring from the Dis-Moi collection. Emerald-cut diamond, elegant, expensive. Dodi seemed interested, very interested. But what happened next remains one of the greatest mysteries of Diana's final summer. Did Dodi buy that ring? Was he planning to propose? Did Diana know? And most haunting of all, what would she have said? To understand the proposal that may or may not have happened, you need to understand Dodi and Diana's relationship. It was brief, intense, whirlwind. They had known each other casually for years through Dodi's father, Mohamed Al-Fayed. But they only began dating in July 1997, 6 weeks before Diana's death. 6 weeks of Mediterranean yacht trips, romantic dinners, paparazzi photos. But was it love? Or was it something else? The answer depends on who you ask, and everyone has an agenda. Diana had been dating Hasnat Khan, a heart surgeon, for 2 years before Dodi. Khan was serious, intellectual, private. Diana called him the love of her life. But Khan ended the relationship in July 1997. He couldn't handle the media attention, couldn't imagine a life with the most famous woman in the world. Diana was devastated, heartbroken. She had thought Khan was the one, the man she would spend her life with. When he walked away, Diana felt abandoned, lost, desperate for someone to fill the void. Enter Dodi Fayed. He was handsome, wealthy, attentive, everything Diana needed in that moment. Dodi showered Diana with gifts, jewelry, flowers, attention. He made her feel special, desired, wanted. After years of rejection by Charles, after the recent heartbreak with Hasnat Khan, Dodi's attention was intoxicating. Diana responded, not because she was deeply in love, but because she needed to feel valued, needed to feel that someone wanted her, needed to prove to herself and the world that she was desirable. Mohamed Al-Fayed, Dodi's father, had his own motives. He desperately wanted acceptance in British society. He owned Harrods. He owned the Ritz Paris. He was wealthy beyond measure. But he was Egyptian. He was seen as an outsider. If his son married Princess Diana, if Diana became part of the Al-Fayed family, it would be the ultimate validation. Mohamed encouraged the relationship, provided the yacht, the privacy, the security. He was investing in his own social advancement. And Diana was the prize. The month of August 1997 was spent largely on Mohamed's yacht in the Mediterranean. Diana and Dodi cruising from port to port. The famous photos emerged. Diana in a leopard print swimsuit, Diana and Dodi kissing, Diana looking happy, relaxed. The world watched and speculated. Was this serious? Would Diana remarry? What did the royal family think? The attention was exactly what Mohamed wanted. Diana and Dodi were the story of the summer, and everyone assumed it was leading somewhere. But Diana's close friends were skeptical. They had met Dodi, found him pleasant but insubstantial. He was charming but not particularly intelligent. He was attentive but also needy. He was wealthy but completely dependent on his father's money. Diana's friend Rosa Monckton spent time with Diana in mid-August. Diana confided, "I need to be alone. I need time to think. I'm not ready for another relationship. This doesn't sound like a woman about to accept a proposal. This sounds like a woman feeling pressured, overwhelmed, uncertain." Diana also talked to her butler, Paul Burrell, from the yacht. She told him she was having fun but needed to slow things down. "Dodi is moving too fast. I like him, but I'm not in love." Burrell later said Diana was using Dodi to make Hasnat Khan jealous. She hoped Khan would see the photos, realize what he'd lost, and come back. It was a strategy, not a serious romance. But if that was true, Diana was playing with fire, because Dodi seemed genuinely smitten, and Mohamed was making plans. On August 21st, Dodi visited the Repossi jewelry store in Monaco. This is documented. The store has records. Staff remember the visit. Dodi looked at rings. The question is, did he buy one? The Repossi family later claimed Dodi purchased the Tell Me Yes ring that day. They said he paid over $200,000, that the ring was resized, that it was ready for pickup. But there's a problem. No receipt has ever been produced. No payment record. No documentation beyond the Repossi family's word. And they had a clear financial interest in being part of the Diana story. Another version suggests Dodi selected the ring but didn't purchase it yet. He wanted to propose but was waiting for the right moment, the right setting. He planned to pick up the ring in Paris, propose on the yacht, or at his apartment, somewhere romantic, private, away from cameras. This version is more plausible. It explains why Dodi was looking at rings without evidence of purchase. It suggests serious intent without commitment. Dodi was considering proposing, but hadn't decided definitively. The third version, and the one many of Diana's friends believe, is that Dodi never intended to propose. The jewelry store visit was about buying Diana a gift, a bracelet perhaps, or a necklace, something significant but not an engagement ring. The proposal rumors were started by Mohamed Al-Fayed after Diana's death, to cement the narrative that his son and Diana were about to be married, to give their relationship legitimacy it might not have deserved. This version suggests the proposal was Mohamed's fantasy, not Dodi's plan or Diana's desire. So what's the truth? We'll never know for certain, because everyone who could definitively answer is dead. Diana is dead. Dodi is dead. The only living witnesses are Mohamed Al-Fayed and the Repossi family. Both have reasons to embellish, to make the relationship more significant than it was, to insert themselves into Diana's story. Their testimony must be viewed skeptically, but it's all we have. So we're left with speculation, educated guesses, interpretations of evidence that remains frustratingly ambiguous. What we know about Diana's state of mind in late August suggests she wasn't ready for marriage. She had just finalized her divorce from Charles the year before. She had been devastated by Hasnat Khan's rejection. She was focused on her sons, her charity work, her independence. Marriage to anyone, let alone someone she'd dated for 6 weeks, seems unlikely. Diana was many things, but she wasn't impulsive about major life decisions. She had learned that lesson with Charles. She wouldn't repeat that mistake, but Diana was also lonely, searching for love, wanting to be part of a couple. She envied her friends who had happy marriages, stable partnerships. Diana wanted that, desperately. So while marriage to Dodi after 6 weeks seems rushed, Diana in a vulnerable emotional state might have considered it. Not because she loved Dodi deeply, but because she was tired of being alone. Tired of failed relationships, tired of being the divorced princess. Maybe Dodi represented a fresh start, a chance at happiness, even if the foundation was shaky. There's also the question of what Mohamed promised. Did he tell Diana she could have privacy, security, a life away from British media? The Al-Fayed wealth was enormous. They owned properties around the world, had connections everywhere. Mohamed could offer Diana a lifestyle of luxury and protection. For a woman hounded by paparazzi, controlled by palace protocols, isolated from normalcy, Mohamed's offer might have been tempting. Not love, but escape. And maybe Diana was desperate enough for escape that she would have accepted. The final weekend of Diana's life adds to the mystery. She and Dodi flew to Paris on August 30th. They checked into the Ritz, which Mohamed owned. They had dinner. They were supposed to go to Dodi's apartment afterward. Some claim Dodi had the ring there, that he was planning to propose that night, that Diana would have woken up on August 31st as an engaged woman. But they never made it to the apartment. The paparazzi chase, the crash, the deaths. Whatever Dodi's intentions, they died with him in that tunnel. But here's another detail. Diana called several friends on August 30th. She sounded tired. She told multiple people she wanted to come home, wanted to see William and Harry, wanted her own bed. This doesn't sound like a woman anticipating a proposal. This sounds like a woman ready for a vacation to end, ready to return to real life, ready to move on from the summer romance. If Dodi had proposed that night, what would Diana have said? Her state of mind suggests she might have said no, or asked for time. Not the enthusiastic yes a man wants after buying a $200,000 ring. The ring itself remains a subject of controversy. After the crash, no engagement ring was found, not in Dodi's apartment, not in his belongings, not at the Ritz, not in the wreckage. If Dodi had purchased the ring, where was it? The Repossi family suggested it was at their Paris store waiting for pickup, but they produced no evidence, no paperwork, nothing to prove Dodi had actually bought it. This absence of evidence suggests the ring purchase might be fiction, a story invented or embellished after the fact. Mohamed Al-Fayed has been adamant for decades that Dodi and Diana were engaged, or about to be engaged. He testified at the inquest into Diana's death that his son intended to propose, that Diana would have said yes, that they would have married. Mohamed needs this to be true, because if Diana was about to become his daughter-in-law, her death becomes more tragic, more significant, more proof of the conspiracy theories he promotes. If Diana was just dating his son casually, her death is still tragic, but Mohamed's connection is less profound. Mohamed has also claimed that Diana was pregnant with Dodi's child, that she was murdered because the establishment couldn't allow her to marry a Muslim and bear his child. This theory has been thoroughly debunked. The autopsy showed Diana was not pregnant. The timeline makes pregnancy impossible. The crash was extensively investigated and found to be an accident. But Mohamed persists with these claims. He needs Diana's relationship with Dodi to be more than it was. Needs it to be destiny, tragedy, conspiracy, because the alternative is too ordinary. A brief summer romance that ended before it could become anything serious. The truth about the proposal probably lies somewhere in between. Dodi likely did look at engagement rings. He was falling in love with Diana. He wanted to lock down the relationship, make it official. He may have even selected a ring, but whether he actually purchased it, whether he was definitely planning to propose, whether Diana would have said yes, these questions have no definitive answers, only interpretations, guesses, hopes and narratives constructed after the fact. Diana's sons have never weighed in on the proposal question. William and Harry met Dodi briefly that summer. They found him pleasant but didn't form strong opinions. They were more concerned with their mother's happiness than with who she was dating. In later years, they've focused on Diana's humanitarian work, her struggles with the media, her love for them. They haven't validated or disputed the engagement rumors. Perhaps because they don't know the truth either. Perhaps because it doesn't matter. Diana died before any proposal could happen. The rest is speculation. The jewelry store visit on August 21st remains the most concrete evidence that Dodi was considering marriage. But considering is different from deciding. Looking at rings is different from buying one. Thinking about proposing is different from actually doing it. Dodi had 9 days between the jewelry store visit and his death. 9 days to make a decision. To buy the ring, to plan the proposal. Did he do it? The absence of a ring in the wreckage suggests no, or suggests the ring never existed, or suggests it was lost in the chaos of the crash and investigation. Some Diana biographers suggest Dodi was all talk, that he enjoyed the idea of marrying Diana more than the reality, that he liked the attention their relationship brought him, the validation of dating the most famous woman in the world. But when it came time to commit, to actually propose, to risk rejection, Dodi would have hesitated. This interpretation paints Dodi as immature, more interested in the fairy tale than the work of building a real relationship. It's harsh, but it might be accurate. Others defend Dodi, say he genuinely loved Diana, that the relationship, while brief, was real, that he was planning to propose but wanted to do it right, wait for the perfect moment, the perfect setting, that he died before he could execute his plan. This interpretation is more romantic, more tragic. Dodi as a man in love, cut down before he could declare it formally. Diana as a woman who might have found happiness, denied by fate. It's a better story. But is it true? Diana's own words provide the most important evidence. In multiple conversations in August 1997, Diana expressed uncertainty about Dodi. She liked him, enjoyed his company, appreciated his attention, but she wasn't ready for commitment, wasn't sure the relationship had long-term potential, wasn't convinced Dodi was the man for her. This doesn't sound like a woman preparing to accept a proposal. This sounds like a woman still figuring things out, still healing from past heartbreak, still searching for something she wasn't sure she'd found. The proposal question matters because it affects how we understand Diana's final weeks. If she was engaged or about to be engaged, her death becomes the loss of a future. A marriage, maybe children, a chance at happiness. If she was just casually dating, her death is still tragic, but less about lost potential, less about what might have been. The proposal question also matters because it affects how we judge the relationship. Was Dodi serious? Was Diana? Or were they both playing roles in a summer romance that would have fizzled naturally? The most likely truth is this. Dodi looked at rings because he was thinking about proposing. He was falling in love. He wanted more. But he hadn't made a final decision. He hadn't purchased the ring. He was weighing options, considering timing, wondering how Diana would respond. Meanwhile, Diana was enjoying the relationship but not ready for engagement. She liked Dodi but wasn't in love. She was using the relationship partly to move on from Hasnat Khan, partly to feel desirable, partly to have fun. Both were sincere in their feelings. But those feelings weren't equal, weren't leading in the same direction. If Dodi had proposed in Paris on August 30th, Diana probably would have asked for time, would have said she needed to think, would have said 6 weeks wasn't long enough to make such a decision. And Dodi would have been disappointed, maybe hurt, but would have accepted it. They would have continued dating, seeing where it led. And probably, within a few months, the relationship would have ended naturally. Because it wasn't built on a solid enough foundation, because Diana wasn't ready, because Dodi wasn't right. The summer would have ended, and so would the romance. But we don't live in that timeline. We live in the timeline where Diana and Dodi died on August 31st, where the relationship was frozen at its most romantic point, before reality could intrude, before daily life could strain things, before differences could emerge. Death preserved the relationship in amber, perfect, unfinished, full of potential, and that allows people to project whatever they want onto it. Mohamed can claim they were about to marry. Diana's friends can claim it wasn't serious. The truth died with Diana and Dodi. The Tell Me Yes ring, if it ever existed, has never been seen publicly. The Repossi family claims to have it, claims Dodi purchased it but never took possession. But they won't show it. Won't prove ownership. This suggests the ring might be fiction, or might be a ring Dodi looked at but never bought. The Repossi family benefits from the story either way. They're forever linked to Diana, to one of history's great romantic mysteries. That's valuable. That's marketing. That's a reason to maintain the narrative, even if it's not entirely true. What's undeniable is that Dodi cared about Diana. He treated her well, made her smile, gave her a happy summer when she desperately needed one. Whether he planned to propose is almost beside the point. He gave Diana something valuable in her final weeks: joy, attention, romance. After years of unhappiness, years of feeling unloved, Diana got to feel desired, pursued, wanted. that matters more than a ring, more than a proposal, more than the speculation. Diana's final summer was complicated. She was healing from heartbreak, searching for love, trying to figure out who she was post-divorce. Dodi was part of that journey, an important part, but probably not the destination. Diana was still searching, still evolving, still becoming. She died before she could finish that process, before she could find whatever she was looking for. The proposal question is interesting, but it's ultimately unknowable. What matters is that Diana was trying, was living, was hoping for happiness. And for a brief moment that summer, she found some from Diana's final phone call to her friend, Annabelle Goldsmith, on August 30th. "I'm tired, Annabelle. This has been lovely, but I'm ready to come home. Ready to see my boys, ready to get back to work. Dodi's been wonderful, but I think I need some space, some time to think. Everything has been so intense. I just want to breathe for a minute. We'll see what happens when we get back to London, but right now, I just want to be home." This conversation happened hours before Diana's death, hours before the crash. It's the last window into her state of mind, and it suggests a woman who wasn't planning her wedding, who wasn't anticipating a proposal, who was ready for the summer romance to slow down, to return to reality, to figure out what she really wanted. The final image of the proposal mystery is the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, the site of the crash. Memorials left by mourners, flowers, photos, messages. People still come here decades later, still mourn Diana, still wonder what might have been. Among the tributes is speculation about the proposal, about the ring, about the life Diana didn't get to live. The tunnel holds all the what-ifs, all the questions, all the mysteries. Did Dodi have a ring? Would Diana have said yes? What future did they lose? The tunnel doesn't answer. It just stands there, silent, keeping its secrets, just like Diana and Dodi, forever frozen in that final moment, before everything changed, before all possibilities ended, before we learned that sometimes the biggest questions have no answers at all.